On this episode of Beer, Blues, and BS, it's me, Howard the Ref, back after a long absence. I'm joining Kidder and the local geek because the local geek needs me to officiate something. What could it be? What's the dilemma? What's the controversy? What does he need me to decide? You'll have to stick around to find out. And don't worry, we got lots of other great stories to talk about, updates to stories we were talking about, a couple of things that we didn't get to talk about on episode 100. It's a good time. You're in a good place. Welcome to the show.
It's Howard Blues and the Mark Kidder. Pour a cold beverage, pull up a seat, enjoy time with friends.
Triple B! Well, the Triple B sucks. Okay? Come on.
Whatever, man. This is Beer, Blues, and BS. Online at beerbluesbs.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast that is easily shorter than the Oscars and way more entertaining. I'm your substitute host, Howard the Ref, here, as I am usually rarely, with our normal co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the Mark Kidder. Kidder, how you doing tonight?
You know, Howard the Ref, I do have to say, those are a lot of different pieces of English put together to try and construct something that almost has enough regulation to stand, much like the NDWF rulebook. So, thank you for that introduction. I know it's not what you normally do.
Yeah, and fairly short notice for me to work that all out. You know, as I said, not my normal duty as Howard the Ref to be hosting a podcast, but there was a request, Kidder. There was a request for Howard the Ref to be on, and the person making that request, he's on the show as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Triple B. Everybody's favorite, the brewmaster himself, the local geek. How you doing tonight?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. Glad to be back on the show. It's only been a couple episodes, but it's always fun to come back and visit and hang out with you guys.
Technically, since I'm a rep, I'm going to make this. Truthfully, you've only taken an episode off because you were on episode 100. You're on episode 101. You missed episode 102, and now you're here for episode 103. So...
where were you? Where were you last week? What do you think this is? A podcast? You can just come and go as you please?
Last week, I was just very tired.
Oh. I see. Tired. Ah.
And as for Howard the Ref,
must have been watching this episode.
We'll get to that request down by What's on Tap 2, probably. So
you're going to, that's what we call a tease, folks. He's going to make Howard the Ref hang out and do nothing until then. Does he get to drink?
I was going to say, see you guys in an hour.
Oh, I sure hope he gets to drink.
Actually, with the two of you, it'll probably be like, 15, 20 minutes.
No. Hey, Howard the Ref, Howie Blues has quite the driveway that probably needs a little snow moved. So if you want to get your reps in, you can go move that hand snowblower out there.
Yeah, that'll probably, with Lefty going in tonight, that'll probably be a tomorrow afternoon once she gets up project. So it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse.
Personality are we talking to?
Uh-huh. Strap in, folks. This episode's going to get confusing as hell.
Welcome to a normal episode of Beer, Blues, BS.
How much snow are we supposed to expect out of this, Kidder?
5 to 8 and potentially 60 mile per hour wind through Monday.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that the wind will blow it clear, so it's not. I'd rather tackle 2, 3-foot drifts in my driveway than 8 inches spread across the whole thing.
I know my car had probably at least an inch on it by the time I looked at it last before bed, or before I put Colt to bed.
Just between the time that I got home, and I got home right around 5 o'clock, and the time the Kidder came over and dropped off the beer, which was about 8 o'clock. I mean, Kidder waded through a lot of snow.
It's probably 4 inches there.
Yeah.
I will also say that it's going to continue to be pretty stupid.
Are we going to break that record? That's my question. Like, we've gotten this much snow. We might as well at least break the record so we've got something to claim for all the snow we got.
We are pretty close. So it is within reach. I've been signed out.
Uh-oh.
How did...
You're still here.
Or are you?
Verify it's you. Yep, it's still me.
Google, we're looking at other services, and
that's yeah. They're like, other services. We'll show you right in a meeting. I'll just take care of you. I wasn't even doing anything. That's the interesting thing there. But yep, it's going to be kind of dumb over the next 48 hours or so.
And you know that there are going to be people out and about in it. You know, It's like, why?
Yeah, I mentioned I mentioned that when I got over to Howard, because like I understand, me going out and driving across town to give Howard a couple beers. But I also have significant training on driving through this crap. Lots of experience. Plus, I'm smart and I drive with my headlights on. And I make sure my defroster is running so that it doesn't fog up and I can see out the windows. And the rear defrost is on so I can see out my rear window. There's certain things that you do while you're driving.
That's one complaint I have about my car is it's got you set a temperature on the thermostat. So if I set it to like 72, for example, once the cabin reaches that temperature, it starts blowing cool air and it's no longer defrosting. It's freezing on my windshield. So I got to crank that temperature up and then it gets really hot in the car.
Yeah. Got to set her up to the defrost only and just let her rip,
Right.
Crack the window a little bit. But yeah, there's so many people driving around town, and this is, well, what time did we ended up? I guess that was around maybe 6 o'clock. I think we rolled to Mickey D's for a snack, but then by 8 o'clock we're driving up to Howard, and there were so many people. There's so many cars. And about half of them were little 4-door or 2-door, 2-wheel drive cars driving around. Like, what are you doing? Go home. Stay at home. Is it an emergency? If the answer is yes, call law enforcement. Like, call emergency services. They'll come over. Like, stay home.
This is why I'm still a big fan of the idea that, when we have weather events like this, we just shut everything down. And the only people out on the roads are like the absolute necessary people, That's my general take, and I know that means like, yeah, my wife still needs to go to work because she's a nurse and such. But she doesn't need to necessarily end up in an accident because Joe Schmo said, hey, you know what? Let's go get some McDonald's
or alcohol, and they're booze cruising because it's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I that's what I don't get, and that's kind of like I'd rather see us shut everything down and except for the necessities and force people off the roads. You have nowhere to go. So that's like the storm we had last April. One of the people I dug out, it was just some dumb kid who got tired of being at home, and so he tried to leave, and he got stuck like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why? Why are you going out?
Yeah, you just stay at home. Just stay home.
So we'll see. I'm hoping she makes it back okay. Before we hop to everybody's favorite segment, Kidder, I watched an interesting video today. I was uploading episode 102 of the podcast to YouTube. And you know what? They just so happen to have a video on our YouTube dashboard about the profanity policy at YouTube. So I got to enjoy that, and yeah, it's probably a good thing that we started censoring things a little bit more when we did, because apparently last November they put this profanity policy in place and changed the algorithm, and yeah, if you're doing too much swearing, they drop you wholeheartedly. They've eased back a little. That's what this video was saying. It's like, well, we move that back a little bit because we were maybe a little too harsh, but yeah. It was kind of interesting to hear what they defined as minor curse words and major curse words and such. So, but I'm not going to...
Give us an example.
I'm not, because, you know...
Could you put it in a sentence?
No.
Could you give us the history?
No.
A history with Howard DeWeff.
Yeah.
It goes black and white.
Yeah, no, I'm not, because as I said, I've learned some stuff. I don't want to jeopardize future possible monetization if, enough people would ever watch this show. So that's why, if you're a longtime listener of the show and you're like, hey, man, they started beeping all of the cursing. Yes, we did. Reasons. The interesting thing to me was they also were hitting hard if you had curse words in your title, on your thumbnail, or in, I think it was like the first 7 minutes of your video. Yeah. It was interesting.
So really what you're saying here, now that it's been longer than 7 minutes in this video, we can really start just shooting from the hip, dropping some bombs.
That's not what I'm saying. I think what I'm saying is it's time for what's on.
I don't know if both of my
situation.
headphones are working or something, because I didn't quite catch all them words right there. So all right. Well, yes, I did catch the most important piece of that, and let's drink. Let's have something to drink, because Howard, I know you're DeWeff and you don't have the saying, but Howard Blues has a saying, and it's been a week. So it's time to grab your favorite Triple B pint glass, perhaps off of beerbluesbs.com. Click on merch, like this fine pint glass right here. Yep, right there. Or perhaps the Kidder's Old Fashioned recipe glass right there, also available in pint glass and other forms. Or, you know what, Local Geek, I think this one might even be your favorite, because it's me saying I will have a water with hops and grain. And I'm actually saying it on the pint glass. So you can be reminded to have a quality beverage, just like what Local Geek makes in the very basement that he is hanging out in right now.
So, fun fact, that glass you just showed there, Kidder, actually, you're not the person who originally said that. Mm-hmm. It was actually Local Geek who said it.
And it was all the more reason for him to get one and have one of those and have a tasty beer in it.
It was in response to you saying that you were going to go get a water, and he's like, is that water going to have hops and grain? And that turned into the glass with you asking.
I will have a water with hops and grain.
Yeah. So that's
good job, yes. Local Geek. Thanks for teeing that up.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. So since you're the guest, but I mean, essentially you've become the third co-host of this show. But what are you brewing up today?
Well, today I brought you guys in. I've got the It's Been a Week glass.
He knew without even knowing.
So I've got the new one that I made. It's called Pinkerton Porter. I named it that after our family's late cat who passed away last November. So that was one of his nicknames, was Pinkerton. It is about 6%. And other than that, the recipe was originally supposed to be kind of a clone of the Deschutes Black Butte Porter, but we deviated a little bit. So it's not super close, but it's still, in the porter style.
Is that what I just delivered to Howard about an hour ago?
Yes.
So I should go get that one.
While you do, Kidder, I will. I'll show it off. I have it poured in this lovely Howard's Cave of Wonder glass because, it's been a while since there's been a Howard's Cave of Wonder, and I wanted to remind people that show still exists. Yeah, it's still a thing. It's just I've been trying to do a video on me assembling all of these miniatures, and it's taken me a lot longer to assemble them all than I had originally expected. So, but anyway, I'm gonna give this a try. It's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, I like this one. It's probably in my top 5.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it wasn't quite the taste I was expecting, but it's not bad. I don't know why. Whenever I hear Black Butte Porter, I always think of it as a peanut butter porter. It's not, but that's just what keeps rattling around in my brain. So that's what I was expecting. So that's what I was expecting with this when you said it was a clone. But no, it's good. I'll enjoy drinking this.
Yeah, and this one's the one that I did with my friend. He bought a electric brewing system, and it's super, super efficient. It was supposed to come in at 5.5%, and his system was so efficient that we got 6%.
Hey, Kidder, do you need the poncho while you open this?
I sure hope not. Got the opener. Do you need a poncho? Did you? I guess we'll find out in 2 weeks.
Did you shake it up before you delivered it to him an hour or so ago?
I can neither confirm nor deny these nor any other allegations at this time. Oh, sorry. There we go. I will have a water with hops and grain pint glass available at beerbluesbs.com. Look at this pour. Now I know that I could have had a better pour with maybe a little bit more head on the top, but I also didn't want to have it go all over the place. So from the Triple B, beerbluesbs.com, Local Geek, thank you again. And thanks to your buddy for helping make this one there.
Yeah, we've got another one we're going to be doing here probably in the next few weeks. He's been itching to make another one. He's got 2 he already did since this one. So he's really itching to use that new equipment. And it is fun to use and super, super easy to use. So if I had the money to get a system like that, I would probably drop it on one right now. But
that's a very interesting taste because I was expecting it to be thicker and darker, but it's very smooth.
It is.
And crisp. So I'm slightly confused, but it's really good.
It's mellowed out a little bit. When I first kegged it, the first couple of glasses I had were they had a fairly strong alcohol taste to them, and that's mellowed off quite a bit. So I'm glad.
Did I happen to miss while I was getting the bottle? Did I happen to miss the tasting notes and whatnot for this? Because I heard peanut butter porter, and I went, it's going to be peanut butter. I don't know.
No, it's not. That's just what Howard, in his mind, when he heard porter, it went to peanut butter porter. So he was initially expecting peanut butter.
Gotcha. So, tasting notes. Give us the start to finish of your grains and yeast and all the goods. Give us the lowdown as only the brewmaster of the Triple B can.
So for grains, it was actually pretty basic on this one. There's some chocolate malt in there, so there's going to be some chocolatey flavors. A little bit of wheat. And for the most part, it was just standard 2-row pale grain, which is the base for most of my beers.
And again, with that grain, or any of the other grains that you use, do you get those locally?
Most of them, yes. Most of them come from 2-Track over in Lincoln. And we get them from the local breweries. So we did have interesting hops for this one. That's what really changed the flavor up on it. I'm trying to remember what we even used. we have Cascade hops, which I use quite a bit. And then we also had some Magnum and some Northern Brewer. And that was just basically putting together the closest we could get because the day of we realized we didn't have all the hops we needed. So we were kind of going with what we could find.
So you're saying it's kind of a mishmash.
A little
bit. Do you think that hampered the end result at all with the taste that you wanted versus what you got?
Not a whole lot. It's a little more florally than you would expect a porter to be, but not like to the extreme. But something I definitely noticed when I tasted is you normally, like you said, a porter, you normally expect to hit your taste buds a little harder, and this one's pretty smooth.
What I like about it is that as I'm digesting it, the residuals, I'm salivating over them. I really get that grain taste. I don't know if you notice that when you kind of sit on it for a little bit. You really get the grain taste to come out. And I think it's a nice addition to it, if you will. What do I know? I'm just drinking beer in a podcast, so... Thanks, Local Geek.
You're welcome. And I'm not sure if any of those flavors come from the fact that his brewing system has a recirculating pump. So instead of like when I brew a beer, I put all the grains in that mesh bag and sit it in the water for an hour. Whereas with his system, we drop the grains right in there in a basket and then recirculate the water over the top of it constantly. So it's constantly pulling the stuff from the bottom back to the top and really running it across those grains to really get the sugar out of them.
Yeah. I would think it'd make a purer taste in the end of it too, for any recipe that you're rolling through it.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's what the large breweries end up doing in their huge systems that they have, is running it through in certain forms for each type of beer, I would guess.
Yeah, some of them will do that. And then, like, I know when Dialectic makes theirs, they drop the water on top of the grains, or drop the grains into the water, actually, with a false bottom. And then they, as they start pumping it into their boil kettle, they wash the grains with 170-degree water. So they're basically running clean water over those grains to try to get more sugar out of them. But that's called the sparging process.
Wonderful. And in that, it has to be at 170, or does it, or should it be hotter, colder?
That's about the ballpark I think most people aim for a sparge water.
You don't want to get it to 200 or 300.
Yeah, warmer than that, you start to get some of the tannins out of the grain with it that you don't want. And if you get too cool, you get some other off flavors. So it's usually like 150 to 170 is that target temperature for generally for mashing your grain in general. And then they hit that sparge at the hotter end of it usually.
Well, thanks for giving that insight. Appreciate the Local Geek sharing his brewmaster secrets. I know JS Gunslinger will be very interested to see this episode, and I'm sure he's going to be jealous and excited to hopefully get to taste one of these as well.
Yeah, I should get one bottled up for him to give to you when you stop over, or when I get the other beers to you, whichever happens, whichever way that goes.
Something will happen, something will work out, because Howard happened to give me one for JS Gunslinger as well. So
yeah, that's why I figured if I could get you one, you could get it to him with that one. So,
and Kidder's Courier Company rolls on.
Hope you're not spelling that all with K's.
I need another K. Kidder's Courier Company Consignment Incorporated. What? Say your piece, Howard.
I do.
I can hear Darth Howard haunting the background. You say your words.
I was just gonna say, if you would have gone with corporation instead of incorporated,
well,
then you get one more K sound.
Sure. The Quad K. Quad K Inc. Kidder's Courier Company Corporation, whatever, incorporated. We'll figure it out. We need R&D to work on that.
I mean, either that or you just need to hire like the guys behind like Mortal Kombat because they spell everything with a K. So, they'd be able to help you out.
It'd be all right until there's fatality. And then I'm not on the show anymore.
You're not on the show, or somebody you dislike is not on the show. Who says you can't be the one performing the fatality?
Once again, I bring you beer.
Yes. Plead at the immortal steps of the kidder. All right. Well, let's talk about something actually interesting. Like anything.
Well, we're talking alcohol, and trying to remember who brought me this news story. I think this was a local geek because he gave me a couple.
I thought it could be a content generator.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is because, favorite nostalgic drink of most of us who enjoy a good glass of the OJ is getting an alcoholic version. So, Kidder, did you have a chance to check this out?
No, I did not. I saw the headline.
I think that's really all you needed to see to know what's going on.
In true media fashion, sensationalism in the headline, and that's all you need to know. I read this article online. It said that things had alcohol. Yeah, but what is it? When's it available? When's it going to be out? And I don't know. I didn't actually read it.
Kidder, you make us get our first ever investigative reporter. You hire the murder bird
For 1 week.
I was gonna say, and we get to our first time where we could actually use a reporter to report the story. And
ain't nobody got time for that.
What do you mean you don't got time for that?
Ain't nobody got time for that. Got things happening. Video games to play. Driveways to use a snowblower. Send that snow into space.
Well, anyway.
Or Howard's driveway.
Yeah. You can come over. It's available.
Hey, I said, and I have it on record somewhere, that if you get a vehicle and some ramps that my snowblower fits in, you come on down. We'll load her up. It's just like The Price is Right. Come on down. We'll haul it back up to your place. I will even volunteer my time and blow all of that crap out of here. Load it up. We can drive it back. I'm just saying. So
I don't know. That seems like a lot of work.
Oh, all right. If you want to spend 3 hours shoveling your driveway, you saying that you need the workout? Is that what's going on?
Well, I mean that wouldn't hurt, but I also know how to make like sad puppy dog eyes at all my neighbors while they're out snow blowing, and eventually one of them will take pity on me.
Oh, well, hopefully they find this video and know that you're just full of crap.
Anyway, to get back to the story at hand, apparently, the makers of Sunny D are now making I believe it's a vodka seltzer version of the drink. So it's the kind of thing that we'll probably have on this show at some point.
I hope I don't find it.
It's supposed to be sold at Walmart starting tomorrow.
Well, I don't really feel like going out again. And things that are supposed to be sold at Walmart as of officially when we're recording this a couple days ago, AMC popcorn in the unpopped version and the popped version. They will have 3 variants of each available: salted, butter, and extra butter. That I'm interested in. This Sunny D, which, by the way, I mean, we do have a Walmart liquor here, but in Walmart itself in North Dakota, which might blow some people's minds who are watching from out of state And what was it? British Columbia? We had a bunch of downloads from, Howard. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It-
British Columbia, thank you. If you go to your local Walmart where you can buy alcohol, this may surprise you. In North Dakota, the liquor store has to be a completely separate store. So literally, you have Walmarts in North Dakota where they're the business and your normal in and out doors on either side. And next door, they have a little hole in the wall. That is the liquor store for Walmart. Completely separate, still the sliding doors in and out, but a separate business, essentially, even though it is still Walmart.
Well,
It's another door I don't feel like going into. What? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
It gets deeper than that. The reason we don't have things like the hard Mountain Dew are because of our liquor distribution laws. Because Pepsi's distributing that themselves, they aren't a licensed liquor distributor in North Dakota, so they can't bring it into the state. And I'm assuming they don't want to try to sell it off to like McQuaid's or Jerome's or one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious if we'll get the Sunny D or not. But
Plausible. It's like Mythbusters. We'll just leave it at plausible.
I guess
Or
that
one of-
means the next person to takes a road trip has to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
I also do like reading this article. It says there's not actual Sunny D in the drink, but the company has said it has the same great taste.
You know, that's the crap that was with the Mountain Dew stuff, because as Howard remembers, because I gave him some of it.
I actually had some too when I was in Iowa. So.
Oh, right. So, I picked some up in Iowa when I was there, and it does not taste like Mountain Dew to me. It really tasted the closest like Diet Mountain Dew with some bad like juice or something poured into it to make it alcoholic. I was not a fan.
Yeah, I double checked you guys' reviews of it when I tried it, and they were pretty much spot on. It tasted like somebody poured way too much vodka into a bottle of Mountain Dew.
Yep. No, it's sad to say, but really, if you want an alcoholic Mountain Dew, not your father's Mountain Ale, much better.
That is good
Yes.
stuff. Their root beer is also good.
I will concur.
I'm not as big of a fan of their root beer, actually. I'm a bit of a root beer snob, so.
Fair enough.
You don't need to put root beer on the front of that. Hey, the people wanted more banter, so there you go. And
What people? What
it's
feedback are you
family-friendly.
getting?
Yeah, I got sources, there's sources and people, things. Yeah.
I will say, Kidder, I was reading some of our Instagram comments.
Thank you, local geek. Oh,
And
I don't comment on the Instagram. I comment on the YouTube.
yeah, which always I will say, local geek. I was a little alarmed when I signed in. I think it was last week to upload episode 101, and it's like I don't have a comment for episode 99 yet from the local geek. I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, my Iowa trip set back my watching time because I was driving the whole time, both directions, so didn't get to watch.
plenty of time to put the podcast on in the background, right? I mean, the missus had a phone. You had a phone, right? You just put that.
I suppose
up
I could have
on the
made her
side.
update the sheet.
Absolutely. Here's the link to the spreadsheet. Okay. Would have been great. A friendly reminder. I mean, before Howard tells me something, don't lose the thought. Remember your thought, because I'd like to take this very moment to remind our viewers or listeners that you can listen to us on any audio podcast service out there. Go to beerbluesbs.com or any of your favorite audio podcast services and just search Beer, Blues, and BS. Please subscribe, like us, or whatever each of the services has you do. Add it to your subscription list, whatever. It's free. and you can listen to us wherever you go, and then you don't need to force open the YouTube app while you're driving down the highway at 92 miles per hour like the local geek. So, how are blues? Me.
I know that you said, hopefully I wouldn't forget this. Hard to forget, Kidder, when you accidentally glue an eye stalk to your finger.
I kind of want to swear right now.
Yeah, I was looking at you. Yeah.
I have three initials for you. FFS. I'm gonna let you figure that one out. He's trying to think of something clever. I see the wheels turn.
No, okay. I was just finishing this thing. Yeah.
It looks like it could be on Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yeah, it's a underwater beholder.
Ah.
Yeah.
Since I brought up Aqua Teen Hunger Force, I have to mention that I finally saw the new ATHF movie. It's available on HBO Max or wherever you steal your videos. Please don't do that. The FBI hates it. And it was not good. Like, I know. Local Geek, have you seen Aqua Teen? Do you like the show?
I've seen a little bit of it, but I never really got into it.
So I got into the original series. I mean, the episodes were like 12 minutes long, so they're perfect to sit down and just watch and laugh and contemplate, things of life, of how people make things like that and get famous and get paid for them. But and then contemplate why this show isn't more popular, things. But this was a feature-length movie, 80 some minutes long, and I don't know, I'm kind of disappointed I watched it. I don't know. I needed to see it, but at the same time, now I'm kind of disappointed because the episodes contained are hilarious. There's a lot of them that are still funny, like Space Cotas with the Moonanites, and the other guy, their neighbor is Carl. He's got some good one-liners. Hey baby, you want to take a ride on my Carl, huh? It's good. Just not the same as what it was, 15 years ago. But anyway, figured I'd mention that. Watched a few movies this week. That was one of them. Kind of wanted to fast forward it.
Kidder, I'll just fess up. Never been a fan of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Falls into that stupid comedy that I never been a fan of.
Yeah. It happens. On a side note, not a stupid comedy, but on Tuesday, had a 2 for Tuesday, and watched 2 movies at the theater. So all told, even with the now $6 ticket price, which is still half the price of a regular adult ticket for a matinee, so you save some money there. That plus soda, popcorn, and intermission snacks, as in the $3 hot dogs. Spent $65-70, and that was the cheap day. The regular adult price for evening is $14 per person now. So, side note. Anyway, went to the first movie, which is now out of our local theater, called Marlowe. Have you heard about this? It actually stars Liam Neeson. He's got a very particular set of skills. This is like a 1920s private dick. He's going out. He's going to solve a murder. And to me, very much an homage to turn of the century movies, the old private eye figures them out kind of movies. And I thought he did phenomenal. Great acting in that movie. And a surprise appearance by Colm Meaney as an LAPD detective. Colm Meaney, maybe the name doesn't ring a bell with either of you. However, he played Chief Miles O'Brien on Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and a special appearance in Star Trek Lower Decks.
Three things for you there, Kidder. One, Liam Neeson, New York Rangers fan. Number two, the reason I know that he is, there's a lot of the NHL stadiums for the past 2 years have done these look-alike things with like movies and such. They did one at the Rangers game, and they did the scene from Taken where he's talking on the phone. Then when they cut to the look-alike, it was Liam Neeson talking on the phone, and he played it up like he was giving the angry speech. It was pretty good. The third thing here, question for you, because I'm racking my brain for it, and it's been so long since I've done anything with Halo. What was the name of the annoying little robot in the first one? Is that 343 Guilty Spark? Am I correct in that?
Yes. That was a
yeah.
And then the asshole turns on you. Sorry, I swore.
You know,
that made me want to swear.
You know what makes him even more annoying?
That you can't really kill him?
No, when you glue him to your thumb. That would really hurt.
I don't know if the payoff on that one was as good. Well,
I made local geek chuckle.
The way you had him go on there, he kind of looked like a Funko Pop.
Yeah, this is like okay. Well, the second movie went to was Operation Fortune, and there is a subtitle or additional title to it, but look it up. It has Jason Statham in it, and it was a great movie. It was a quality movie. I do love me a Jason Statham movie. And directed and written by Guy Ritchie. There you go. And there's a couple other famous people in it as well. It's pretty new to the theaters, and it was good. So check those out. Interestingly enough, last night, looking for something to watch, came across an older Jason Statham movie from 2007 with Jet Li entitled War. That one, all right. It definitely a B movie, but there were some famous people in that one as well. Not too bad. Could have been worse. And I mean, since I'm talking about movies and things that I've seen, and then I'll turn it over to both of y'all and tell us about what you've seen lately or been watching. But Star Trek Picard, the final season, currently playing out. Last night was episode 4, and this season should have been how the show was handled from the beginning, because this is actually good. And it's like true Star Trek to me. Okay. even season 2, they had a whole like on this way and this happens and then they're over here and back in time and whatever. Not a fan. I think most of the season was meandering and stupid and preachy. The first and last episodes were great. In fact, even the second and half of the third episode were really good too. But season 1, you can kind of skip it. I mean, it's great to say that you watch it and you went through it, and yes, it's Star Trek, but there's so many cringeworthy things that happen, and it's just very disappointing. So as season 3 is here, they brought in the Star Trek experts, Dave Drexler and Mike Okuda specifically, for design and technology referencing. And this season, man, the ship looks fantastic, I have to say. It's the USS Titan. It's a Neo-Constitution class. It looks gorgeous on the outside. They've done a few homages to the motion picture, which I know you all really haven't seen, and that's okay. But there's this huge scene at the beginning of the motion picture where Kirk and crew are traveling via the transport shuttle to the Enterprise, and this is the big reveal of how the Enterprise has been redone. They did a refit on it, which upgrading the nacelles, upgrading the technology, the paneling on the ship itself, and all of the glory shots. I mean, it's like a 5-minute sequence. It's great. I love it. You just sit and watch it. It's like Howard gluing crap to his fingers or to a stick, and there's a dragon floating around, and Howard's bored. So this whole season 3, they brought those aspects of how can they make this feel grand and glorious, like the motion picture reveal of the Enterprise refit on the big screen. And I think they did in a lot of ways. It looks really cool. And the new season is actually in 4K, finally. So, there's that. I'm happy. Glorious. Was able to watch that. Watch some CSI as well. CSI Vegas in 2 weeks. So when this episode is released, last night was the season finale for the second season of CSI Vegas. I have my other issues with that show. That's a whole separate topic. The final piece, I think, for now anyway, until I remember what else is happening and we can talk about wrestling here now or later after you guys tell us what you've been watching and seeing and those sorts of things. But Star Trek Discovery, old news now, but season 5 airing in 2024 will be the last. They have officially canned Star Trek Discovery.
Woo!
Thanks, guys. Over to you.
just for the record, I haven't seen Discovery and have really no reason to hate it except for the sheer amount of misery that it caused you, Kidder, because I had to hear about it like every week about how terrible it was, how preachy it was. Just glad that bad Trek is ending. Maybe some new good Trek will come. Maybe you'll get more Strange New Worlds.
It will, and that has been renewed already for season 3. They, as far as I know, aren't even finished filming and processing and finishing up all the polish work on season 2, which will probably air summer, maybe fall this year, but it's still rated a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. First season of Strange New Worlds. Another fantastic series. I mean, the first episode of it brings a tear to your eye for a huge Star Trek fan, such as myself. I sat there in amazement. Like, wow, this is good Star Trek. It's great. Love it.
Local Geek, before I'll let you go first. Guess first. Just so you guys know what you could look to. I have to glue this elk to this base, and let me tell you, the feet aren't lining up real well. So, will Howard glue an elk to his fingers? Possibly.
Likely.
Well, that little tease.
Likely.
Local Geek.
Teaser.
You been watching anything?
Nothing super exciting. We're rewatching The Walking Dead now that they've officially ended it, so we'll finally see how it ended. We got through, I think, season 9 before we kind of gave up on it, and so now we started back at the beginning, just working our way back through to see how it all ended and just see what happened with it. And other than that, mostly what we've been watching is whatever the little guy wants to watch, which he discovered on YouTube, a channel called Kids Fun TV, which is kind of fun to watch. It's really cheesy acting, but it's not annoying sing-along stuff. So,
Lefty and I were watching The Walking Dead, and we didn't get that far. We got to the season with the prison, like when they first get to the prison.
Okay, that's one of my favorite seasons.
And that's about where we dropped off. And it was just, I grew tired of it. Lefty is far more of a binge watcher than I am of stuff. I like to change things up. Whereas like she can sit down with a series and just watch it, every night and get through it. And I just can't. And yeah, it was just, that's all the further we got, which is to me sad because I know some of the more of the Walking Dead. I've read more further into the comics. So there's things that I'd love to see out of that, but I don't know. Maybe one of these days we'll pick it back up. But yeah, that was about where we dropped off, was when they were in the prison and
they've
such.
just started filming. I think they're doing like 3. I don't know if they're movies or if they're just long form versions of the show, but they're supposed to be like 90 minutes long to kind of wrap up some of the other character stories, to not drop any spoilers. But I'm excited to see those.
It is a good show. Don't get me wrong. When I say I got burnt out on it, it's not that it's a bad show. It drug on.
Yeah.
You can only The Walking Dead. It's a depressing show in a lot of ways, and I can only take so much depressing every week. It's the same reason like The Blacklist we stopped watching. That was an amazing show, like the first 2 seasons, and then you just get to a point where it's like nobody can be happy in that show, and it just sucks the life out of you to try and watch it.
Yeah, and I think The Walking Dead has done a good job of giving those ups and downs of, they're in a stable place and they're able to be happy for a while, and then that place gets destroyed and they have to move on, and they're down for a while, and then they find another safe place to be happy.
Yeah, it's one of those where, as I said, maybe one of these days we'll go back and watch it, but right now we don't get to watch a lot of TV together, so she watches a lot of medical dramas and such, and I watch whatever I feel like. So, which as of late has been One Piece. It's surprising. My wife actually called me out on it. She goes, "You're not a binge watcher, but you're watching this constantly." I'm like, I don't know. It's scratching an itch right now. So, Kidder I know knows about One Piece because I've talked about it on the show. But Derek, I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it even.
So it's an anime, and it's based off one of the longest running manga. It started in 1995 is when it started, and it's still going.
Wow.
So it hasn't finished the story. It's supposed to end in the next few years, supposedly. But it's really about. It starts off with he's a young man. He's only 17. This guy who wants to become king of the pirates, and to do that, you have to find the legendary treasure, the One Piece. So it's this kid having to, build a crew and convince people to be on his crew, and the world isn't it isn't 100% like it's not Earth. It's many times. I forget what they say. It's how many times bigger, but it's mostly water with some islands, and then there's a special sea called the Grand Line, which is just this crazy place where all sorts of weird things can happen. And that's at the end of the Grand Line is where the One Piece is. So it follows the adventures of him and his crew, of this boy, Luffy, D Monkey. And it's really good. It's enjoyable. It's got comedy. It's got action. It's got some good storytelling moments. It's got some times where it's just like, like there's some filler episodes that are, but I'm enjoying it. In fact, I'm enjoying it so much. I started today because it was supposed to be a quiet day at work, and I knew like I'm going to work on some things. I just need to listen to something. I actually started. It was a video I found on YouTube. It was a 6-hour long video essay about One Piece. I got about halfway through it. And luckily it was just background noise because it wasn't really a great video essay, because like the guy's argument was that One Piece as a whole should be on the same level. It's a modern day version of the Odyssey. But then he doesn't really make any connections to that, and it really kind of comes down to him like talking through all of the story arcs and what happened. And it's more of like a recap with some every now and then like a really good analytical point, but it's kind of a terrible video essay, but I'm about halfway through it. And I'll probably finish it, just I don't know, because I'm curious, but it's not the best. But that's really what I've been watching when I've had time. So
Nice.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. If you like anime, give it a shot. But if you're not a fan, yeah, I'm on like season 7. I'm like 200 some episodes in. So I got a lot left to go. So hey, let's get back to some other interesting news so that Kidder rejoins the conversation. So I saw an interesting news story. It's about Funko Pops. You guys collect the old Funko Pops?
Got a couple, not too many.
I forced Howard to collect a bunch.
Which Howard still lovingly has and cherishes that entire collection. He's doing a good job of holding that. Anyway, so with the Funko Pops, you find them anywhere. There's tons of these things. And there's so many out there that the company actually is having problems because they have overstock of them. And the storage fees on all of this stock is costing them a small fortune. And they recently decided and discovered through their accounting department that it's actually cheaper to throw these Funko Pops into the dump than to pay for the storage on them. So it's been reported that Funko Pops is going to dispose of about $30 million worth of Funko Pops in the upcoming future. So just tossing them out because people don't want them. So
That's a large number.
It is a large number.
At what, like $15-ish a piece?
Right around there. Yeah. I don't know. I've never bought a Funko Pop. They've all been gifted to me by Kidder. But it's interesting because there are some people who are really big into these things. As Kidder said, he forced me to collect some. I never really got into them myself because they're just a statue that sits there, and up until I moved into this place, I really didn't have a great place to like display them or anything like that. That's an incredible amount. Looking at the article, inventory at the end of the year totaled 246.4 million, an increase of 48% compared to a year ago. According to an official Funko press release, this includes inventory that the company intends to eliminate in the first half of 2023, to reduce fulfillment costs by managing inventory levels to align with the operating capacity of our distribution center. This is expected to result in a write-down in the first half of 2023 of approximately 30 to 36 million. So basically, they have so many of these things, I mean, that it's even hard to distribute, because if you think about it, you have to keep so many on the shelves, and they're all the different kinds. Some, IP is probably more popular than others, so you tend to have more of the stuff that's not popular. It's interesting. It's very interesting in that sense. Thoughts?
I have a couple of them myself. I mean, mainly one, the 10th Doctor with the 3D glasses over there. I also have a couple Star Trek ones. And for the price that I also have the Metallica collection. I have the 4 of those. But with the price they are, and the fact they don't just want to discount them, get them out to people, is kind of absurd. Yeah, we'll just throw these away.
Like, they have to pay fees to dispose of them, I would think. So even selling them at a loss would ultimately earn them more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's that thing of holding on to them until they sold. Even at a discount. I mean, I don't know. There are some people who collect these things like crazy, and then there are some people who have just a few. I joked about the collection that Kidder gave me. Most of that is packed away, but if I turn my camera, let's get it out over into that corner, it's kind of hard to see, but up in the corner there are 3 of the Funko Pops I have out: the 10th Doctor in the 3D glasses, the 4th Doctor, and then River Song. And then I have a couple of the soft Funko Pops of Boba Fett and Yoda up there. But otherwise, the rest are packed away in my storage room. Because again, it's just a limited amount of space. I want to display other things. I don't have room for a bunch of these things that just kind of take up space. So I think it's kind of one of those, people jump for the things that they're nostalgic about, and other things they're just kind of over. And I think that makes it hard to sell, even at a discount. So, but it is a waste. I will say that. That is a huge waste. If you're going to just dispose of them like that, you could probably even give them out to, I'm sure there are charities where a kid would love to get, some of these Funko Pops, you give them to a children's hospital, like at the hospital my wife works at, they actually have a small storage room full of toys that they give to kids when they come, because when the kids come, they don't always get to bring toys. They don't have that comfort item. So it's they will have stuff, and they get it mostly through donations. So Christmas time's the best, because then they get a bunch of stuff. But at other times of the year, they don't have enough. But a Funko Pop could fall in that category. So there's ways and things you could do with them in that case, instead of just filling up a landfill. So,
yeah. Imagine all the kids, how happy they would be in hospitals across the country. I mean, a Funko Pop. It'd be cool, right, if you knew what their favorite character was, because they have contracts with so many different properties out there. I mean, Marvel, Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars. There's so many innumerable movie-related Funko Pops that are out there. Or even just sports stars. So many of them out there. Hand them out. Yeah, you didn't get, LeBron James, but you got a free Funko Pop toy that you can play with as a kid in the hospital. I mean, it's a little bit of joy. And then maybe it creates a black market in every hospital of the kids selling or trading for their favorite Funko Pop, having their parents go do the dirty work. I don't know.
Well, and that brings up another point on them there, Kidder, is if you're doing something like that, like I would bet a large percentage of the Funko Pops out there are sitting on a shelf in the box as a collector's item. But if they did that, the kids, they're going to play with them. Like my son's got a few that we've unboxed and he plays with them, and we don't care. They're Incredibles characters. They're from a movie he likes, and he plays with them and has fun.
Mm-hmm. After I suggested this idea, I could just see, though, some like 8-year-old getting one and being like, "Daddy, what's Hellraiser?" Some not quite so appropriate Funko Pop for a children's hospital, but that just made me chuckle.
I would assume, and this is a huge assumption, that if they were bringing these figures, that they would be, very generalized and targeted toward the family market. But there you go, being dark.
That's the realm I live in. It's I love the dark comedy, and that to me was just funny.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Mm-hmm. Local Geek, do you wish they had a Funko Pop of you holding a mini beer glass?
That would actually be really cool. Can you make that happen?
I'll get my people on it. With all the money I invested with Funko Pop to try and make Howard happy, I mean, I've got to have an in at the company at this time.
I could just see, if we ever do make it that big where we're getting Funko Pops, I want mine with a much smaller Funko Pop glued to his hand.
Oh yeah, we'll make something happen, because you'll have to have like 6 figures for yourself. Normal Howard the ref,
future
shoveling
Howard.
Injured Howard is clearly bleeding. Glued Hobby Howard in Howard's Cave of Wonder. Shoveling Howard that's clearly in distress and has fallen and broken himself. Mowing Howard, who is tired and can't push the lawnmower anymore. Just
future
opened
Howard.
A future Howard who doesn't exist. It's just an empty box. Messed up Howard, who opened one of Local Geek's beers after shaking it. And I mean, so that's 8 already. I mean, it's practically a collector's series at this point. I mean, limit them to like 50 and we'll make millions.
Big D might be the only one that has more than Howard.
Maybe.
I mean, they'd all be basically the same, though, because they're all a dick. They all have the same look on his face, like.
Truthfully, though, in all seriousness, I would love a Murder Bird Funko Pop. That would be the one I'd want.
So I have to throw this out as, I don't know if it's a critique or just feedback about the Murder Bird. But I happen to be mentioning to a certain other individual who lives in this house. I won't name, but it's not Freya or Orion. And I threw out the Murder Bird earlier today. This is literally about 5 hours ago. And I go, yeah, it's the Murder Bird. The what? It's the Murder Bird. You don't remember that? No. Okay. Well, did you look through the thumbnails? No. Okay, pull up the thumbnails. Okay. Where is it at? Did you look at the episode 100? Yeah. Where's it at? Did you look? However, zoom in. Oh, well, you can't see that. It's kind of how it's meant to be, but okay. But let's go through. So I pull up on the TV, so it's this big, flipping through our channel. There's one. I never saw that before. How could you see that at this big? Okay. There's another one. Well, obviously. Okay. Flip. And there's the one. There's the episode where he debuted. It's the whole thing. Yeah, I didn't see that. Killing me.
Yeah, the murder bird is a favorite Easter egg of mine to hide in thumbnails. Basically, if there's a thumbnail out there that has any sort of black or dark space, more than likely there may be a murder bird in it. Not all of them. Usually, it's if it's like a nighttime street scene, there's a murder bird. You might have to look for it, but it's there. It's there.
Kind of like
Redacted.
Episode 101.
Redacted.
So, Kidder, I mean, we've been talking a while.
Mhm.
Some of us are getting thirsty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been a week. I'm out. Local Geek didn't say anything, and he said that he's out.
Yeah, I'm out too.
And
Still
Howard didn't
cuts.
say anything, but he's out. It was on you for a while there, Local Geek. So we got to see you. Howard's just being Howard.
I should have showed off my my cave ale
Ooh.
from the Potosi Brewing Company.
Because
This one sounds like it could be a fun road trip to go visit. We could have Rude Boy Kyle tag along with us. It's in Potosi, Wisconsin. It's where beer is crafted, and that craft is celebrated at the National Brewery Museum. The beer you hold was brewed in that town by its finest people in a small batch with the finest ingredients. I, for one, would like to visit the Brewery Museum. It's about 3.5 hours from Des Moines.
And tell us about this brew that you are pouring into your glass.
It's called the Cave Ale. It's an amber ale. It says it's smooth and medium bodied, featuring caramel malts. That's 5.5% alcohol. It's got a pretty good flavor. It's kind of like a generic amber flavor. It's nothing that jumps out at me a whole lot about it, but I'd give it like a 3 out of 5.
Nice. Kidder, what are you having for round 2?
Oh, well, that's open up the Triple B Beer Cave. All right. What should I have? Yes. Let's do this one. It seems interesting enough. And Orion was helping me pick this out there. This is from Sierra Nevada. It's the Wild Little Thing. Slightly sour ale. It has guava, hibiscus, and strawberry and is a 5.5% alcohol by volume. 12 fluid ounces in this, made by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, Chico, California, and Mills River, North Carolina. Government warning on the side. What do we have here? Ball Corporation Aluminum. It is an ale brewed with natural flavors. Please recycle. Well, don't you worry. I will complete this beverage. And then it will go in the RECYCLE recycle. Put this into the North Dakota Fighting Sioux Yeti. Speaking of Yeti, Howard, I have to mention that Adam Foote, not Dufoot, but former fighting Sioux, former Colorado Avalanche superstar and alum is now working with the Vancouver Canucks.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh, that smells sour. That's for sure. The guava and strawberry right at the top, right in the nose. That is sour. It's a sour. Do taste the strawberry. It's not too bad. Give it a, I don't know, 2.3 on this her. Yeah. It's, I don't know if it's the guava or if they just have some, or if they included the vines of the strawberry, but there's a little at the end. It's kind of weird. But anyway. Carry on.
I was going to say, Kidder, I did have that on the show. I was trying to pull up the spreadsheet so that I could find out. I have a feeling the local geek is going to beat me to it.
I don't have it open yet.
Oh, well, the race is on.
I bet he has a trusty bookmark. Don't make me beat both of you.
Let's see.
What was that called? Wild Little Thing. There it is.
Yes.
It was episode 88.
Oh, I just
Local
got
Geek.
there.
Yep. Local Geek wins this one again.
Yeah, let's see. I described it as, I kind of like this. It is slightly sour. It's not as super sour as some of the ones I've been drinking. Then that strawberry kicks in, and it's really good. So, there you go.
Kind of sounds like Drunk Howard.
Probably was.
Oh, man.
I did leave Kidder an Easter egg in the sheet, too. I don't think he's found yet. So.
I haven't looked, so let's pull up on my favorite of the sheets. I wish I had a scroll bar in this. Oh, okay, there it showed up.
While he's looking for that, I noticed on this can they donate all their profits to charity from this brewery. And
Perfect. Is that the it would taste better with a cherry in it? Because I happened to mention that on an episode, maybe last week. I mentioned it on. Yeah, you weren't here, but I mentioned it, and I was very disappointed. I didn't think the local geek would stoop to that low of a level, but there it is in black and white. He went there, and man, I'm disappointed.
I thought you might enjoy that little quip in there.
Yeah. Quip.
It was actually a comment somebody else made while you were drinking it. I want to say JS Gunslinger, but I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, I think that was a tie between JS Gunslinger and Big D.
Mm-hmm.
Because Big D has mentioned that a couple different times.
Yeah, it was one of those two. I'm almost positive.
Because he likes to be the troll that he is.
Yeah. For my What's on Tap round 2, since I'm parent on duty, I have to switch to the non-alcoholic for the second round. And I just have a plain Coke. I did bring down this Coca-Cola Move limited edition that Kidder brought me.
Ooh.
But since he's not having it on the show, I will hold off on it and save it for another show.
Who says I'm not going to have it after this sour?
Well, then, you know what? If you do, I have it sitting here. So
I don't have one of those, but I have had one of those. So if you guys do end up having it, I've got some tasting notes on it. But otherwise, I'll share them in a comment if I'm not on when you do have them.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it, Local Geek, and then the next time I was at the store, walked down the soda aisle and went, Holy crap, a 24 pack of Coke is $18. This is stupid. And then went, wait, I was supposed to find that new flavor of Coke. Ta-da! Found it. So thanks for the reminder.
I also have a can of the Peepsy that I'll give you.
I was wondering where that was too, and I couldn't find it. So that would be awesome.
Yeah, I've got one in the fridge that I was planning to save for you guys. So,
thanks, Local Geek. It almost makes up for that terrible defamatory comment that you put in the secret spreadsheet.
So another comment about this beer that I picked up. I picked it up when I was visiting Iowa at their local Walmart in the local brews section, which I don't know if Iowa's in a different dimension than the rest of us or what, but their local brews section did not have a single beer from Iowa in it. Yeah. It did, however, have this, which comes from Wisconsin, and several Shiner beers, which, as we all know, come from Texas.
Where does that come from again?
Which is definitely not local to Iowa, in my opinion.
I was trying to pull everybody in to be as local as possible. Hey, you're from 1,000 miles away. You like Iowa, right? Yeah. You're local then. I kid. I
they
do
did have
enjoy
a few others
Iowa.
in there, but Lion and Kungels had some in there, and Breckenridge Brewing had some in there, but not a single one from Iowa.
They're just trying to recruit Farva. That's all Iowa's doing. They're like, if we carry the Shiner, the Farva will come.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh man, I swear we could and should by some point with all of the Shiner we have had, and I have to say, there's more in the fridge. I found a sample pack, and so there's more to come. With all of the Spadesel Brewery shenanigans we've had on this show, damn it, they should sponsor us by now.
You would think that, but most of the time we don't give them a favorable rating. You know, maybe if we were nice to them all the time.
This is the best beer I've ever had.
And then my teaser from earlier too, I suppose we'll wrap that in here too, because it's part of my Iowa trip. On the way home from Iowa, we knew that the storm had rolled through North Dakota, and I-94 was just total garbage to try to drive on. So we figured we'd take I-90 over and hit Sioux Falls and see how the roads were from there. And it turned out they were no good going up I-29 either. So we spent the night in Sioux Falls. So I stopped at one of the local breweries there, and I picked up a couple beers for you, thinking we could knock South Dakota off the list. And this is where Howard the ref needs to come in. After I got home, I noticed the cans of these beers say that the brewery is headquartered in Minnesota, but I picked them up at their Sioux Falls brewery.
Sounds not like a ref conversation or decision. It sounds like the judge needs to come in, lay down the law.
Yeah, I mean, technically, they're well. Okay, so here's the thing: we when it came to the Kona Big Wave, even though it was probably brewed and distributed more locally, we did say the original brewery was in Hawaii, so that we could mark that off. So I think, based off that precedent, that we can say that if the original brewery is from South Dakota, we can count it as a South Dakota beer. There. There's your Howard the ref ruling.
So we'll count it then. I wasn't sure because I stopped in last time I was in Sioux Falls. I stopped in at that brewery and I noticed the name was different, but I didn't do any digging on it. I was like, oh, the beer was good last time. I mean, it changed names, but the inside looked the same, so I picked up some beers, and they must have gotten bought out, I'm guessing.
That'd be my guess. Now, so then the question is the beer an original South Dakota beer, or did the company that buy them out make them brew one of their recipes, and therefore then it would no longer?
Extra complexity. Yes. Is it an original location brew, or is it a Minnesota location recipe that they're forced to make in South Dakota?
Yeah.
Local geek. Parlay.
I'm guessing that, the beers are listed on their website, and it comes up with their Minnesota brewery as the primary, so I'm assuming they're probably the Minnesota recipes.
And then in that case, they are Minnesota beer.
All right, well, the hunt is still on for South Dakota then.
Yeah, the elusive South Dakotan brew.
I'm still going to give you guys these two beers, though. And Kidder, I will recommend that you have the double IPA. I say that because the IPA was more of an IPA than the double IPA.
I think this is the reverse psychology. Like, oh, hey, if you try this, it says double, but it's like half. You should try this one.
I liked that one better, and I'm not an IPA fan. So.
Okay.
Hey, for those who are wondering, I did not glue myself to the elk.
Yes.
No extra phalanges for the elk.
No, and the elk is done, so it's now sitting over here in the done pile. So, but the night's still young, and I'm working on 2 dragons that just do not want to actually stick. So,
right.
Well, gents, we got a few little topics left that we should probably quickly hit and get out of this show. One of them came from the local geek. You shared this back on episode 99. I mentioned my theory that anybody who wanted to steal from Papa Murphy's easily could, because you could just walk and grab your pizza off the rack. And you shared with me as soon as that episode came out that Panera Bread employees had been reporting a problem with thefts and were therefore moving food behind the counters. So, yeah, I guess it does happen.
Oddly enough, had lunch with that funny guy today at Qdoba, and they have racks set up by the cashier, but they are the bags of food. And he goes, obviously jokingly, "Hey, they got our lunch ready for us." And I went, yeah, it is just kind of sitting there. Anybody who knows and acts like they're knowing what they're doing could just go in and grab it. And you get what you get, I guess.
Yeah, I've done the Qdoba pickup, and they don't question you. You just walk up, grab a bag, and walk out the door.
I suppose that may have been the question, though. You grab the bag and then go sit down at a table. Like, wait a minute, they're supposed to go. Yeah, it is bizarre. And the whole COVID era takeout process for delivery drivers and whatnot. Same thing, Noodles and Company. They're at least sitting on the counter where the register is. So they're there. The name is big, but still somebody just walks in, grabs one of them and walks out. Mm-hmm. It's not like they're checking. Can I see your ID, sir? What's your name? Who's your order for?
Yeah, my wife always sends me the confirmation, because sometimes, like with Noodles and Co., they write the name on the bag, and it looks weird when 270-pound guy comes up and grabs a bag, that has Kate written across it. So, yeah, I always have the order confirmation just in case they question.
And I'm guessing they never have.
No, never have.
Mm-hmm.
Even Eat Thai has done that for us when Ashley's got her name on it, and I go pick it up. I just tell them, yeah, I'm picking up Ashley's order. Okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess don't steal food, because then you have people like us coming into the place to pick up our food, extremely pissed that our food isn't ready and that it's gone.
Yep.
Speaking of not doing things,
Don't do this.
what's this? Don't do something freezer something or other.
That one's mine. I was going to talk about it on episode 100, but we ran out of time.
It's not that we ran out of time. It's that people misinterpreted your comment in the run sheet, and we started talking about Titanic, and Titanic jokes were made.
True.
Yeah. It kind of sunk that part of the show, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago, I went through and decided I should defrost the freezer on my dorm fridge, which I know you have one there, Kidder. So make sure you keep up on that. I hadn't done that since we moved into this house almost 13 years ago. And the iceberg inside of that could have sunk the Titanic. I posted some pictures in there for Howard to throw up. So I thought it would make a good don't do this segment, though, because you definitely shouldn't let it go 13 years before you defrost it. There was literally no room in that freezer. It was all ice.
Mm-hmm. Did you find anything while you were in there? You know, woolly mammoth, caveman?
No. I threw the iceberg outside, so I mean, when it thaws this spring, maybe we'll find something.
Maybe there's a beer right in the center of it. Just like, oh, hey, I was wondering where that went. It's still good, right?
I have a toy woolly mammoth. I'm not really tempted, Local Geek, to go over to your yard and just throw it into your yard.
Yeah, you don't have cameras where that iceberg happened to land, do you? Asking for a friend.
Not yet. I do want to get one back there to point at my grill, but
okay, good. It's the backyard. Now I know that.
Now is your time, Howard. Not that there's ever a time to sneak in and trespass on somebody's property.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I mean, the footprints would definitely give way to something happening. There's like 3 feet of snow back there.
Well, it's pretty light. I just have to chuck it, It's.
I will also say there's the possibility of Howard owning a drone. So, there might be. I said the possibility. Don't look at me like that. I've heard drones have good capabilities these days.
Drone delivery.
With payloads and dropping things off where they may or may not belong.
This sounds like a lot of work for a woolly mammoth joke, though.
No, it's worth it. They've been waiting ages for it to happen.
We better speed this up. Kidder's gone punny.
So how about one of these? You can give it a go, Howard?
You know what? I'm going to hold off just because it's midnight and I need to go to sleep. So I don't need to drink more caffeine.
It's going back in the fridge.
Look for that in episode 104. I also see somebody put Kickstarter. I'm going to guess that's the Local Geek filling in the run sheet.
Yeah, we can skip that one. That's not a big one. It was just a filler topic.
Oh, filler topic.
We'll just highlight that, and the next time the Local Geek's on, I'll have forgotten that I had even put this on them.
At this point, it's probably going to be next week, and he'll just get a copy of the rundown again and be like, "Oh, that was last week." Well, let's do it again.
I mean, if it's next week, the game that I backed will actually be here as long as the weather allows it.
What game did you back? Find out. Maybe later.
Oh, you almost got him in the tease. Oh yeah, sorry. We're not actually doing that. Howard the ref has called time
now.
Howard the ref is like, oh my gosh, I gotta go to bed. One last thing, and I'll bring it up, and it's unfortunately it's a sad note, and I always hate having to do these segments. But we here at the Triple B want to send our condolences out to the family of Angela Reedburn. Her father, Steve Reedburn, works for me. He's our site supervisor at the 1883 Susquehanna County Courthouse in Jamestown. And just terrible news. His daughter, Angela, was found dead in their on Monday, leaving behind a 9-year-old son. So it's been a tough week around the office. I never got a chance to meet Angela, but I just knowing Steve and his family and trying to figure out how he's going to take care of Beckett. It's a lot, and our condolences. They have set up a GoFundMe to establish a trust fund and to help pay for some of the funeral expenses. I will put it down in the show notes if you're willing to share, because this really is it's just a sad story, and I mean it broke my heart to hear about it on Monday, and it's making me tear up as I talk about it. So from all of us here at the Triple B, our deepest condolences. That's a very sad thing to happen, and we wish the family, lots of healing and prayers with that. And Kidder, on that kind of sad and tragic note, it's time we wrap this show up with some plugs.
All right. Well, let's just touch on a couple things real quick, not to try and bypass or subvert that, but we'd love for you to be part of the show. beerbluesbs.com. Many things you can do there include finding our Facebook and Instagram. Our merch store is there, and all of our audio episodes directly there for you to listen to. You can also find the links and get to the other audio versions of the show on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, Stitcher, TuneIn, IMDb, and Player FM, and probably more, like YouTube podcasts. We're also on there. So if you know of any of the audio sources where you love listening to podcasts, please go on there and search Beer Blues and BS. If you could help us keep the show rolling by showing your support by buying us a beer, it's right on the homepage of beerbluesbs.com, or the convenient buy us a beer button. Choose if you'd like to buy us a beer, buy us around, leave a comment so we know who you are and what you want to say. We'll put it up here on the screen, and we do appreciate that. So help us out. beerbluesbs.com. Keep the show rolling. Plus, if you want to sponsor the show, get in contact with us. You could sponsor the What's on Tap segment, for instance, and we'd appreciate that. So Facebook, Instagram, like us, follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube, watch the video versions, and please throw us a thumbs up. Smash that sub button. Help us get to more people. So I think that's about enough plugs here for the end of the show on that somber note. To try and uplift it a little bit, Local Geek, any closing comments for the show, for Howard the Ref, because he dusted off the ref apparel and showed up, or anything else?
Nothing more from me. It was a good show. It was fun.
Glad you thought so, Local Geek. Thanks for being here again, making sure that your record of show appearances is intact. Other than that, Howard Blues, anything to rule on before we hit the road?
No, nothing that I think that I need to finish officiating or such. So hopefully it won't be so long until I return. But hey, here's a positive one. With this episode, the Local Geek should surpass Rude Boy Kyle as the guest with the most appearances. So there you go. There you go.
Now the question is, do I text that to Rude Boy Kyle and see what if he's got something to say, or does the local geek have something to say? Or both?
I know me and him have been going neck and neck on the kind of taking turns who's had the most here. So
I just happened to flip over to it because I was curious. And you right now are tied at 11 as of episode 100. So
yeah, I think we've been tied for a while because I think the last 2 or 3 that I've been on, he's been on with me. So
yeah, so this episode breaks that tie. So yeah. So there you go. Fun fact as we get into this show.
Well, now that we've facted everybody out of here, let's get the hell out of here too. He's Howard Blues or Howard the Wef or Drunk Howard or Slightly Drunk Howard, Buzzed Howard, maybe Spewed on Howard. I don't know. He's just Howard over there. Glued Howard. I don't know. He's just get yourself together, man. I'm the man, the myth, legend, Mark Kidder. Thanks for joining us for this episode and every episode. Please and thanks. Remember, subscribe. Thank you. We appreciate it. Also, remember to keep your glass at least half full. There's free beer tomorrow, and we will see you potentially after the whiteout down that snow-filled, frozen Tuscan highway. Have a good one, and see you on the next episode of Beer, Blues, and BS.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
so that came out today.
Yeah. I knew I was going to be a bit spoiled because last week, like in the first, like, I think it was in the first 24 hours, we had like 40 some views on it.
Wow.
I mean, it was just, you know, so I
didn't get to it until almost a week later.
Yeah, I know.
No, that was the previous one. That was 99.
Anyway, so like I just checked. It's like, hey, 5 hours ago when you published this, you've had 3 views. So it's like, okay. It is what it is.
Yeah, I clicked into it. I don't know if that counts as a view, but
I don't know when they. Yeah, I don't know when they actually say, okay, it's a view.
Yeah, I only watched like a few seconds of it because I just wanted to read the little rundown of it and seeing where Kidder threw in my birthday video. But I didn't watch it yet.
I'll tell you this: you're right off the top.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we worked it in pretty early. So it was good. It was good. So that one's pretty good. The one next week is pretty good.
Nice. This week should be good based on the length of the run sheet, right?
You never know. I always hope it'll be good, but we'll see. Kidder was in a pretty decent mood when I saw him, and I see he's in the run sheet now, so
nice.
Hopefully that means he's going to be joining us soon. I'm sure he is going through a whole ritual, probably sacrificing a goat, trying to get his internet to work. Because he's super frustrated with all of the pixelation he's had.
Oh.
And it's all on his end. It's not.
Yeah, because you're fine and everybody else that's been on has been fine. It's just him.
Yeah. Oh, he's super pissed about it. Last week, it's a bit of the behind the curtain, but he actually did a speed. He's like, doesn't make sense. I'm going to do a speed test right now. And as soon as he started doing the speed test, it all cleared up, and he went high def.
Actually, it does make sense.
It's like,
because when you hit those speed test sites, it'll start prioritizing certain things.
Yeah. So we made a joke about, Midco saw that you were calling him out. So we'll see. He's talking about switching to something else. Hey, speaking of people we're talking about and pixelation, hey, Kidder.
He's actually not too pixelated right now.
It was when he first popped in, but it's cleared up. He's looking pretty good for now.
I had to change some settings. Again, I'm using the web version again, which, I mean, I've used the web version before and had the same thing. I've used the Google Meet thing as well and had the same thing. And so, gall dang it, if this doesn't work, we're leaving the big G. Plans and pricing. What do we got here?
He's already shopping. We haven't even made it through the episode. He's already shopping.
I mean, the Business Plus is $50 per year per user savings at $250 a year.
Yeah, we don't need that. We're not really a business. At this point, we're pretty much a charity case.
Yeah, we don't make any money, so there's no business going on.
Worst business ever.